Welcome back here into the Sunday Sports Zone. Frank Frangie hanging out with us for a little while longer as we talk a little bit about the Jaguars. Frank, the AFC South. A year ago, we were talking about how the Jaguars were in the driver's seat. It's a weak decision. They should win this thing hand over fist. It's going to be easy sailing. A lot's changed in a year, and the Texans made a big old trade just this past week, bringing Stephon Diggs to the AFC South, giving C.J. Stroud another weapon on that offense. How does that help restructure the South even more, bringing another talented wide receiver into the division?
Well, number one, Jamal, the Texans are this year's Jaguars. What the Jaguars were last year, they had all this good coming back, and they were adding Calvin Ridley to the fold. Now the Texans have all this good coming back, and they're adding Stephon Diggs to the fold. They're very similar. The expectations will be the same for the Texans as they were for the Jags last year, and good luck with that first-place schedule. The Jags had to play that last year. Look, I think the Texans are very good. They deserve the acclaim they got. C.J. Stroud had one of the great rookie seasons for an NFL quarterback. I know all that, and I don't doubt that for a minute. I don't believe the Jags have gone anywhere. I think the Jags were still had a winning record last year. You've heard me say this before, Jamal. Trevor Lawrence played through 4 injuries. Christian Kirk went down. They were 8-3 when he went down. He's one of their best players. They had to play half the season without Cam Robinson. Doug Peterson told me, Frank, those are our best players, and we spent a long time without those guys. I think the Jags have a very good team. I thought they were very good in free agency. And look, Eric Armstead has to be healthy. Yep. The guys they have to be healthy. Mitch Morse has to have another 2 or 3 years or another year or two left in him. Jamal, so the older free agents they have to perform. I think they're going to. So I think the AFC South, Houston should be the pick. I understand that. But I don't think the Jags have gone anywhere. I think the Jags are in good shape. I think barring injury, they're a double-digit win team, and we'll see where it goes. I'm still confident what Jacksonville has. I really am.
All right, well, the next chance the Jaguars really have to add some talent to the roster is the NFL draft. That's right around the corner. So the Jaguars have the 17th pick. And right now, a lot of the fan base has fallen in love with the idea of landing one of the top corners, Quinyon Mitchell, Terrion Arnold, or even one of the top wide receivers. I mean, if they could go get a Roma Dunze, who's maybe the 3rd wide receiver in this class, or a Brian Thomas Jr., who's probably the 4th wide receiver. But, Frank, I think there is a very real scenario where none of those players are on the board for the Jaguars at 17, and they have to make a decision on what to do. If you got on the clock at 17, those top 2 corners are both gone, and the top 4 receivers, which includes Brian Thomas Jr., are all gone. What would you do?
If I've got Jared Verse or Dallas Turner there, it's an easy decision for me. In a lot of people's minds, Jamal, there's 2 positions, cornerback and wide receiver, and 17 overall has got to be one of those 2. If you're drafting for need, I think you've got to throw edge in there. Look, I love Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker, but you play a lot of pass rushers, man. Pass rushers get worn out. You play situational pass rushers. Van Noy and Clowney really lifted the Ravens last year, and neither one of them went in there as starters. I think you've got to play a lot of guys. I think Jared Verse is really good, man. I think he is a terrific player. I'd love to see a Seminole here. He's played nearby, at least his last year of college football. So, yes, I think Terrion Arnold is probably going to be the pick because I think he's going to be there. And I think the Jags need a corner, an outside corner, who right away is their guy. But if it's not him and if it's not Brian Thomas, those are the 2 names you really hear the most, I think. I would not be surprised if it's an edge, and I wouldn't be upset about it, Jamal. You got to have pass rushers. Pass rushers are so important. And it's not just 2 guys. You need 3 or 4 guys. So give me an edge if I can't get one of those corners or receivers, and I'd have no problem with that.
Now, the one edge you didn't mention is maybe my favorite edge in the class, Laiatu Latu. I know he's got the injury concerns, but we haven't heard anything from those medical checks at the combine. So as of right now, if I'm assuming he has a clean bill of health, I mean, all he did was get sacks in college, Frank. I'm just saying if they had to go edge, that'd be my guy.
Fantastic. I totally agree with you. But you know as well as I do, between the 3 guys we just mentioned at edge, they're not all going to be there.
Right.
There's a possibility that none of them are there. What I like about where the Jaguars sit here, to your point earlier, between 2 or 3 pretty good corners, 3 or 4 pretty good receivers, 2 or 3 pretty good edge guys, someone's going to be there. If corner and receiver, to your first question, Jamal, are all the Jags really wanted at that 17 spot, and we're just assuming we know what they want, then I'd be more concerned. I think edge is important. I'll tell you this. I think the first 3 picks will be those 3 positions. Unless there's a value guy that just screams at them, I think the first 3 guys, if it's need, I think the first 3 guys will be corner, receiver, and edge, and I'm not sure what order.
And you know what? This is a good year to need those sorts of players because they have a lot of talent at those positions. Jaguars should come out of the draft a much better football team than they go into it, as long as they kind of play their cards right. We'll see what happens when the draft does roll around. Frank, we'll have a whole lot of conversations between now and then. Thanks for hanging out with us here on the Sunday Sports Zone a little bit. Coming up after the break, we're going to check in on some of the guys that are from our area that are in the NFL draft hoping to hear their name called. I'll introduce you to one of them, David White. He played his high school football over at Westside. Got a chance to catch up with him earlier this week. We'll hear from David White Jr. coming up next in the Sunday Sports Zone that continues right after this quick break.